a good cup of coffee. Just a little bit of cream, a little bit of honey. That's all you need, really. I usually like to put a little bit of collagen in there, but I just kept it simple for today. Now, normally I would have like a pre-workout drink, but you can substitute coffee for pre-workout. Anyway, hello. Welcome to another episode of Pre-Workout Chat. Today is Sunday, September 1st, 2024. I hope you all are doing well. In today's video, I thought I would do something new. Well, it's not new. I've done it before, but I just wanted to try and kind of change things up. It's been a while since I did a reaction video. Now, I think this video is important because this video is about titles. I think titles is it's very important. I think words are important. I think our vocabulary is important. I think it's very important to acknowledge, the importance and really the strength that comes with having a title. Think about the title of mother, the title of father, the title of bodybuilder. I think each of these has meaning, and sometimes we can actually draw strength from the title itself because we become an embodiment of that title. So, in order to get a title, I think you have to work hard and you have to commit to something, right? For example, let's say that you like to swim. You may practice swimming. You may even copy some of the swimming workouts that you see in magazines, or maybe you might follow an Olympic swimmer who posted their workout online. But does that make you? But does that make you a swimmer? It's like, how do you distinguish that you are a swimmer or that you're just that it's just a hobby, or like how do you make that distinguish? Can a title be a title and be maybe maybe a title can be, maybe it can be a self-explanatory term. I am a swimmer because I swim. But is that fair? Is that fair to call somebody who just swims for a hobby, a swimmer, versus somebody who has dedicated their life to swimming, who have trained for many, many years, and who have, using a lot of courage, they are practicing. I mean, they're competing on the world stage. Is it fair to give that person the same title when both people, even though both people swim, both people have like different levels of commitment? You know what I'm saying? So is it fair to give them both? Now, I guess some people could argue, well, we can call the person who swims and competes on stage, we could call them a competitive or a professional swimmer. And we could just call the person who, swims as like maybe a form of leisure activity, or maybe it's a form of exercise. We could just call them a swimmer. And that would be a fair argument. But I think it's important that we distinguish those two, and that we give people a level of respect for the work that they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be a father figure, but do you deserve the title of father? I mean, a father can be a self explanatory term as well. For example, I'm an uncle. I have many nieces and nephews. And once upon a time, when I used to live in Chicago, I was really involved in my nieces and nephews' lives. To the point where I was financially taking care of them. I was providing for them. I was protecting them because they lived with me in my home. Now they have fathers, and their fathers do the same thing. It was just a little bit extra. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes their fathers would run into some type of economic hardship, and I would step in. Do I then call myself a father? I mean, I'm taking care of children. I'm providing for them. I'm protecting them. I'm guiding them. But does that make me a father? See, you can use terms like father, swimmer. You can use them as a self-explanatory term, but is it right for you to call yourself a father? Is it right for you to call yourself a swimmer? Now, see, that's the question. Um, and I think you could probably put that type of question in the realm of morality. You know what I'm saying? Morally speaking, is it right for you to to give yourself a title just because you are doing similar activities? And I think the best way to answer that question is to kind of break it down. Um, are you doing an activity, and are you committed to that activity? And I think the commitment part is really what's going to be the separator. You know what I'm saying? I believe commitment is going to be the ultimate distinguish between somebody who does an activity versus somebody whose title is that activity. Now, um, the video that I'm going to react to is by Coach Greg Doucette. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to his channel. He's doing a commentary where he is judging whether Sam Sulek is a bodybuilder or not. Now, Coach Greg, he's a professional bodybuilder. He's also a coach. He has competed on stage. I don't know if he's returning to the stage or not, but he actively maintains his muscles. He has dedicated his life to bodybuilding to the point where he even went to college and he got a master's degree in kinesiology, right? So he has really dedicated himself to bodybuilding. He knows it inside and out. He coaches people, he's trained himself, and he's educated inside the sport. He's an IFBB pro, for crying out loud. And it's very hard to get that title. You have to really you got to really work your butt off to get that title. Now, Sam Sulek, who, by the way, he's never called himself a bodybuilder. He is more like a fitness influencer. He blogs his workouts, his diets, and stuff, and he posts it online. Um, and sometimes he endorses certain products and stuff like that. But overall, I think Sam Sulek is awesome. Which, by the way, if you have not subscribed to Sam Sulek, I encourage you to subscribe to him. I am actually subscribed to him. He's actually influenced parts of my life, and I'll get into that in a bit. But even though Sam Sulek, who, by the way, he has an awesome physique, do you really call him a bodybuilder because he lifts weights with the intent of hypertrophy? He's trying to build his muscle up. Do you really call him a bodybuilder? Well, let's see what Coach Greg has to say about that.
Coach Greg, in today's video, Sam Sulek is not a bodybuilder. Not actually have the balls, the will to actually get up on stage and be
Well, that was fast.
judged by everyone. In this video, we're gonna have what's known as a debate. I'm gonna present two arguments, and you're gonna decide which side you're on. Side one, this is the side that I'm on. Sam Sulek is not a bodybuilder. Side two, Sam Sulek is a bodybuilder. And so before you get your panties in a bunch and you write your hate...
Which, by the way, anybody that likes cats, you're awesome. Sam Sulek is awesome.
Comments already. This is up for debate. I don't care if I win or lose the debate. I just like debating. And remember, we learn more from debate than we do from hate. And so the reason I don't consider Sam Sulek a bodybuilder is because he's never set foot on stage. He hasn't competed. He hasn't put on the Pro 10. He hasn't oiled up before DT6. And he hasn't gone up on stage flexing his biceps in a little Speedo. Yeah, I get it. It's 2024, and everyone thinks they can identify as whatever they want. But my personal opinion is to be called a bodybuilder, you have to have dieted down and competed. And on the other side, you're saying, no, to be a bodybuilder, all you have to do is be interested in building your body. You go to the gym and you lift weights and you get bigger muscles, and so you're a bodybuilder. And so by that logic, you're a powerlifter if you squat, bench, and deadlift in your workouts. Well, for me, to be a powerlifter, you have to compete in powerlifting. Do you get it? Even though you enjoy squat, bench, and deadlifting, if you don't compete in that sport, you're not a powerlifter. You're a person who lifts weights. And so in my opinion, Sam Sulek, he can call himself a fitness enthusiast, or perhaps a bodybuilding enthusiast. He's living the fitness lifestyle, and it's in fact a hobby. Sam Sulek's hobby, it's being a bodybuilding enthusiast. And so imagine this. Guy's a powerlifter. Perhaps 300 pounds, squats, benches, and deadlifts, let's call it 600 pounds each. Is that powerlifter, a person who competes in powerlifting, can he call himself a bodybuilder? They don't compete in bodybuilding, but they go to the gym and lift weights. And they absolutely have huge muscles. The guy's 300 pounds. But is he in fact a bodybuilder? Has Sam...
So, I mean, we can already see from the from the start of the video, Coach Greg looks at the term bodybuilder as a title. He looks at it as a title that encompasses what some would say competitive bodybuilding, what others would call professional bodybuilding. However you see it, the term bodybuilder, from Coach Greg's point of view, is a title that encompasses a higher degree of commitment to the sport. He believes that in order to call yourself a bodybuilder, you have to commit to the sport of bodybuilding to such a high degree that you compete on stage. So he looks at it, the term bodybuilder, as a title. Now, I think the argument that a lot of people will make is, do you call the term bodybuilder a title, or do you call the term bodybuilder a self-explanatory term? And I think once you break it down to these two sides, then you can really begin to understand Coach Greg's argument.
Sulek ever called himself a bodybuilder? Does he in fact identify as a bodybuilder?
That's probably one of the best parts about social media now, is if you have something which you are reasonably into, there's an audience for it.
I never heard him walk around and say, hey, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm Sam Sulek, the bodybuilder. I say I'm Coach Greg, I'm Coach People. I say, Coach Greg, IFBB Pro. It's because I am. Sam Sulek on Instagram says Sam Sulek. Says he's got TikTok, says he's got Twitter, and he's got YouTube. He talks about bulking and cutting. But just because you go on a bulk, just because you go on a cut, doesn't make you a bodybuilder. To the same extent, if you were to consistently be mean gaining, also wouldn't be a bodybuilder. Now remember, years ago, I used to swim, bike, and run, and I competed in triathlons, and I identified as a triathlete. I tell people, yeah, I do triathlons, I'm a triathlete. I'm also a bodybuilder, also do powerlifting, also play badminton, basketball, did a lot of things. Later became a phys ed teacher and taught a number of subjects. And so I can say I did all of those things. But how about this? Let's say I enjoyed running, biking, and swimming, but didn't do triathlons. Could I say, yeah, I'm a triathlete? If I just enjoy doing cardio and I enjoy being fit, I perhaps bike and swim and run every single day. For example, Sush is biking, running, and swimming, but as of yet, he hasn't competed in a triathlon. And so if Sush were to say, hey guys, I'm a triathlete, I'm an Ironman, I would say, no, you're not. You're a cardio enthusiast. A fitness enthusiast. You go to the gym, you're doing cardio, and you enjoy being fit. And that is an amazing thing. Great job, Sush. And to the same extent, great job, Sam. But
So I think that is a fair point when you look at the argument from the perspective that the term bodybuilder is a title. I myself have been working out for about a few months now. I was lifting weights, as a form to try to increase my muscle a little bit, also to prevent my body from breaking it down as I reduce my calories and increase my cardio. So since I'm in a caloric deficit, I primarily in the beginning lifted weights, just to prevent my body from, breaking down my muscle tissue. because I was trying to create like a huge caloric deficit, and so your body's going to pull from pretty much everywhere. And if you're not really utilizing your muscle, then your body is going to break it down. In fact, if your fat was being used in some type of way, it would be very hard for your body to choose to break it down when you're in a caloric deficit, right? So, but before, this year, I've been kind of on and off of, I've been in and out of the gym. So I've technically speaking, I have been training with weights since high school. It's never been consistent. So do I get to call myself a bodybuilder? I think it's important. If you guys were looking at me, would you call me a bodybuilder? I have been training with weights. I have lifted weights since high school. I turned 35 in October. So technically speaking, I pretty much for almost 20 years I have been training. So do I get to call myself a bodybuilder? Would you look at me and call me a bodybuilder? I think I don't think many people will look at me. I don't think people will look at my big belly, and I don't think people would call me a bodybuilder. So, and why wouldn't you call me a bodybuilder? I think you can look at me and you can tell that I have not committed myself to the sport of bodybuilding enough to earn the title of bodybuilder. And I think that's the biggest distinguishment. I think, once again, look at the argument. By the term bodybuilder, is the term bodybuilder a title, or is the term bodybuilding a self-explanatory term? With the logic of a self-explanatory term, I have been training for 20 years. Since I've been training for 20 years, I am a bodybuilder because that's what I was doing. And technically speaking, because I was increasing the weight on the bars, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though I only squat like about 180, maybe my one rep max is somewhere over 200. I really haven't explored that, but because I'm squatting, 180, I'm a power lifter. And you know what? Because I at one point in time I had the P90X videos and I was doing Yoga X. I'm also a yogi. I do yoga. I did yoga at one point in time. So technically speaking, even though I haven't done it for a number of years, I'm a yogi. I'm a power lifter. I'm a bodybuilder. You see all the titles that I have? Because I'm not using them as titles. I'm using them as a self-explanatory term. Now, again, I think we have to kind of use a little bit of a common sense, and we kind of have to look at this. Is it right to use the term bodybuilder as a self-explanatory term, or should we use the term bodybuilder as a title? By the way, I don't think anybody would look at me and call me a yogi. I don't think anybody would look at me and call me a bodybuilder. I don't think anybody would look at the amount of weight that I can push and call me a power lifter. You know what I'm saying? Listen, there are plenty of female gym enthusiasts who are able to squat way more than me, who's even able to bench press way more than me, okay? So with that being said, I think we kind of already can see the answer to this question.
Until you set foot on stage, until you are an actual competitor, you're just an enthusiast. Now, if you competed in bodybuilding years ago, perhaps when you were 20, and you stopped going to the gym, you're not training more and you're not competing, can you still call yourself a bodybuilder? The answer is no. To be a bodybuilder, you have to be actively pursuing the dream of building your body and you have to compete. And so if you're a bodybuilder and stopped going to the gym, what you can then call yourself is a former bodybuilder or perhaps a retired bodybuilder. Take your pick. The same would apply if you're competing in triathlons, powerlifting, and so on. Bodybuilder in the dictionary, a person who strengthens and enlarges the muscles of their body through strenuous exercise. So it's a little too literal. See, it's 2024, and it's important to explain the nuances. Yeah, we get it. Lifting weights to build muscles, build your body, but to be called a bodybuilder, the way society deems it to be, you need to be getting up on stage. And so it's relatively common for people to go to the gym and lift weights. Perhaps 20% of people go to the gym at some point and they're working out. There's millions of people, even in Canada, who go to the gym. And
Now, I think Greg really hit it on the nail. You have to look at the nuance of the term bodybuilder, because I believe most of society, anywhere around the world, when you ask somebody who's a bodybuilder, they go like, "Oh yeah, it's the big guy. It's the Schwarzenegger. It's the big dude. It's the Michael Phelps." And it's like that's who people think when they think of the term bodybuilder. They think of people who you've seen on stage. Nobody in this world would look at me and call me a bodybuilder, even though I have been bodybuilding for about 20 years. Nobody's going to call me a bodybuilder because I am not what people envision. People envision Mr. Olympia. All of the different Mr. Olympias that have been around for years, all of these guys are who people think of when you use the term bodybuilder. We all have that. We all have seen these, professional bodybuilders who have gone on stage and who have competed. We all have that one guy where we look at and like, dude, you are freaking awesome. You are an inspiration. You're my inspiration. I wish I looked like that. So again, I think we have to, like Coach Greg says, I think we have to look at the term bodybuilder as how most of society sees the term bodybuilder. And in this case, most of society, when they think bodybuilder, they think the people who have competed on stage, the people who have dedicated themselves to building muscle, the people who are professionals at this, the people who have put in that level of commitment. And who are these people? Well, these are the people who compete on stage. These are the Mr. Olympias. These are the bodybuilding competition people. So again, let's it just leans more into the argument where how should we look at the term bodybuilder? Do we look at it as a self-explanatory term, or do we look at it like a title? And I think society looks at it like it's a title. Same way that society looks at the word father. Now, yes, you got people who have adopted children, and those people who have adopted children, they have earned the title as father. But guess what? They adopted that child. Their name is now behind that child. They cannot give that child up. They will have to pay child support for that child. Okay, so think about it. If let's say I was to marry a single mother, and I choose to adopt her children, I have earned, now even though they have a biological father and he may be in their life, well, guess what? I am also their father. I have earned the title of their father because I have taken on the responsibility from a legal perspective. I can now be held liable for those children. If me and the single mother was to break up, guess what? I would have to pay child support. So I am taking care of these children financially. I am responsible for these children. I am guiding these children. I have earned the title as father. Versus if you saw in my original example, I'm an uncle. I was helping taking care of my nieces and stuff like that. But guess what? Their father was in their lives. Their fathers is their father. I am not their father. I am just a responsible and nice uncle. I went above and beyond the call of duty to help my family. That's it. I already have a title. It's uncle. They have a father. Their father is in their lives. Their father do things. Now, did their fathers do things perfectly? No. Did I do things perfectly? No. Did their mothers do things perfectly? No. But together, we were able to fill in the gaps from what we all lacked.
Of course, tens of millions in the United States, but I don't think we have hundreds of millions of bodybuilders lifting weights around the world. And why is that? Because to be a bodybuilder, you got to get up on stage. It's very easy to walk into the gym and train, let's call it once a week. How hard is that? But to diet for 12, 16, perhaps even 20 weeks, or to stick to a diet of chicken, broccoli, and rice, or for the smarter individuals out there, of course they're using my cookbook, why would you want to starve yourself on boring bland foods when there's a better alternative? Whether you're natural using Turk Builder and GO2 Max from Code Red, HDLT supplements, Code Red 15% off, click the link in the description, or if you're using performance-enhancing drugs, it doesn't make a lick of difference if you're not actually getting up on stage. Being called a bodybuilder is a very hard thing to do. It's a very hard accomplishment to make. Less than 1% of the population can call themselves bodybuilders. And to the same extent, just because you run, bike, and swim, it doesn't make you a triathlete. These are explicit terms to define extraordinary people. People who not only put in the effort to train and diet effectively, but people who have the courage to put themselves up on stage and be judged by an independent group of judges in front of an audience to perhaps be ridiculed. You never know. But they have the courage to let it out all on the line. I'm not saying...
Now, I think that's very important. Extraordinary. Okay, so you have the ordinary and then you have the extraordinary. This is why I believe it's important to understand that words have meaning. Titles have meaning. They have power, because when you have given yourself or have earned a title, you become the embodiment of that title. If I buy a ticket to watch the Olympics, so I'm going to actually be attending the Olympics. I'm going to be in the stands with the rest of the common folk, and we're going to be looking at these extraordinary people do extraordinary things. If I watch the Olympics on TV, does that make me an Olympian? I was there, or I watched it. Does that make me an Olympian? Or does the title Olympian go to the people who have dedicated and committed their lives to the action that they are competing in the Olympics? The person who's figure skating, the person who's skiing, the person I don't know, skateboarding or whatever, boxing, wrestling, and all that stuff, throwing a javelin. These people have committed their lives to this. Can we not show them the respect by not using the word Olympian as a self-explanatory term and use the word Olympian as a title? These people have done extraordinary things. Let's honor the extraordinary. I don't know why so many people want to honor the ordinary. You can respect the ordinary. Okay? You can respect somebody. I just work a 9-to-5 job. I make median income. I'm a 401k. Can you give me a level of respect because I pick up your garbage? You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. We can respect the ordinary while also honoring the extraordinary. It doesn't have to, you could do both. You don't have to prop up the ordinary. I don't know why people want to prop up the ordinary. Why do you want to diminish people who do extraordinary things? Like, for example, a doctor. Why would you want to diminish the title doctor? Why would you want to do that? People should be inspired by these titles. They should be so inspired by these titles that they commit themselves and they put in the hard work to achieve that title. To achieve the title of Olympian, you need to compete in the Olympics, not watch the Olympics, not buy a ticket to be in the audience to watch the Olympic Games, not be the person who sets up the fields and stuff for the Olympic Games or the people who judge the Olympic Games. The people who buy the ticket, sets up the game, judge the game, clean up and stuff like that, I respect them. I respect them. Without them, it's like, how do you keep the Olympic Games going? You know what I'm saying? But the athletes that compete in the Olympic Games, not only do I respect them, but I honor them. Which is why I believe when you look at the term bodybuilder, you have to use it as a title and not a self-explanatory term.
Everyone should be a bodybuilder. There are a host of dangers to being a bodybuilder. For example, many people who become bodybuilders, they likely end up having body dysmorphia, and so please be careful. Bodybuilding is the practice of progressive resistance exercise to build, control, and develop one's muscles via hypertrophy. And so if you strictly go by what's written here, I do believe that I would lose the debate. Hey, if you're a bodybuilder, you're building muscles, and so you lose, Coach Greg. Well, if I lose, I lose. I'm not going down without a fight. Bodybuilder, someone who regularly does special exercises to make their muscles bigger. What's the difference between being a bodybuilder and a weightlifter? Because if I go to the gym and lift weights, my muscles are going to get bigger. I mean, lifting weights involves progressive overload, aka training harder than last time, in order to stimulate muscle hypertrophy. And so what's the difference there, ChatGPT, Mr. Computer? While the sports share many similarities, the competitive performance goals are quite different. Essentially, if you're on the side of Sam Sulek as a bodybuilder, it appears you're going to win. I'm trying to win this argument, but so far I haven't been able to do it. Remember, I'm doing my best. Now, from my understanding, if you're a weightlifter or a power lifter, an Olympic lifter, all these things involve going to the gym and getting bigger and stronger muscles. How do we distinguish between whether you're a power lifter or a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, a pick things up and put them down? And so how do we do that? Well, I think we're going to have to add the word competitive bodybuilder. And by that, it means that you actually compete. And so we asked ChatGPT, if you don't compete in bodybuilding, can you call yourself a bodybuilder? Yes, you can still call yourself a bodybuilder, even if you don't compete in bodybuilding. Being a bodybuilder is more about the lifestyle and commitment to bodybuilding and sculpting muscle through training, diet, and discipline. Many people who identify as bodybuilders do so because they are passionate about the process, regardless of whether they step on stage in a competition. And so we asked ChatGPT, can you call yourself a race car driver if you own a McLaren but have never entered a race? And so I identify as a race car driver. I love getting out of my McLaren, driving faster than last time, and doing all the racing types of things. Am I a race car driver if I race in a simulator? The answer is maybe. I mean, it's 2024. You can identify as anything.
Now, I think this is one of the things that kind of separates me from other people. And I think this is probably going to be like the biggest thing of why I'm on the side of using the term bodybuilder as a title rather than self-explanatory. So as you can saw, all of the dictionary terms, all of the chat GPTs, of course, they're going to use what somebody has already written. And from their perspective, bodybuilding is a self-explanatory term. But I think you kind of really need to look at the sport of bodybuilding and how did it start. I don't think anybody in the past called what we identify as bodybuilding. It was exercise. They weren't building up their bodies. They were exercising, and they were exercising for a purpose. Like, for example, they were exercising because, they were going to be in a war and they were fighting in the war. They were exercising because they were going to be gladiators, and they did these activities that gladiators would do to train so that they can do the activity efficiently. They weren't lifting weights like how we would bodybuild today. These people were doing stuff like they would lift up a log and throw it over their back because that would simulate you lifting up a person and throwing that person over your back. You know what I'm saying? They would take weights and stuff, and they would take heavy things and they would hit it. Well, it's like you're lifting a heavy sword and you're hitting it. They weren't bodybuilding. They were exercising to achieve a specific purpose. Now, because they exercised, they might have gained muscle mass. If they ate good enough and they exercised, they gained muscle mass. I think, so when bodybuilding was introduced, and the strongman competition and stuff like that, when bodybuilding was introduced, people were using the term bodybuilder for those people who were building their bodies and competing. Okay. Now, again, that's why I said I think it's very important to kind of look at the term commitment. Let's look at Christianity, right? Christians are people who believe in God and have devoted themselves to God, and they have committed themselves to the practice of Christianity. So you have to you're living by the Bible as best as you can. Now there are people who believe in God, but do they practice Christianity? The answer is no. So you can't call, let's say, somebody who believes in Judaism, you cannot call them Christians. They practice Judaism. It's the same thing for Islam. People who have committed to the Islam faith, you cannot call them Christians because they have a set of practices that they have committed to practicing. They now all of these religions, people believe and have devoted themselves to God, but each of them have a different practice. Yes, it's a lot of similarities within these practices. It's always going to be a lot of similarities when it comes to any religion that has like a book, right? But at the end of the day, there are differences in practice and beliefs. You know what I'm saying? And because of this, each one has their own unique title. Now, let's say, you believe in a God, but you don't practice Christianity. Can you still call yourself a Christian? The answer is no. You can't call yourself, you can't believe in God and then not practice the Christianity faith. You can't do that, right? You may walk around and say, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, I believe in God. You can call yourself whatever you want, but you have not earned that title of Christian. You do not deserve the honor of Christian because you just believe in God. You haven't devoted yourself to God. You have not committed yourself to the Christian faith and following the practices of Christianity. You simply believe in God and you're just calling yourself a Christian. Why don't you call yourself Islam? Why don't you call yourself a Jew? It's like you're not doing any of that. So that's why I said there's nothing to distinguish you because you're not practicing it. Now, some people may look at, well, what about the people who commit vile acts? A person, let's say somebody committed a vile act. Let's say somebody has murdered somebody. So you're a Christian? Yes. You believe in God? Yes. You follow the Christian faith, and yes, you practice it to the best of your being. But you end up murdering somebody unjustifiably. You committed a sin. Maybe you also was married and you slept behind your wife's back. You committed adultery. Are you still a Christian? Well, I guess the real question would be, do you still believe in God? And if the answer is yes, can you humble yourself enough to ask for forgiveness? And most importantly, can you also forgive yourself for the sins that you have committed? And if the answer is yes, guess what? Regardless of the crimes that you have committed, you are still a Christian. That's how the religion works. You don't have to be a perfect Christian. There are people who are Islam and they're not perfect, practices of their religion. But guess what? They're still Islamic. So I think that's a very important distinguisher. You have to become extraordinary. You have to be committed. That commitment is what makes it extraordinary. If you commit yourself to that point where you are willing to religiously practice that action, that's what gives you that title. So if you are extraordinary enough to believe in God, commit yourself and devote yourself to God, and commit to the religion of Christianity, where you're following the practices, that is extraordinary. And that, because of that extraordinary, I have to honor you with the title of Christian. It's the same thing with Judaism. Do you believe in God? Yes. Do you do you want to devote yourself to God? Yes. Do you want to commit to following the ways of Judaism? Yes. Well, guess what? I have to honor that extraordinary level of commitment, and I have to give you the title of Judaism.
If I want to identify as an underage cat, I probably can do it, but should I? And will people respect me for it? It's my own personal opinion that you just simply have to compete. If you say you're a bodybuilder, you should be somebody who competes on stage. If not, you're a bodybuilder enthusiast. You're passionate about bodybuilding. It's your hobby. But the difference between being a bodybuilder and a non-bodybuilder is the fact that you compete. If you just like the lifestyle, you want to copy your favorite IFBB pro, you want to go on bulks and cuts and go through the motions, perhaps practice posing in the gym, but not actually have the balls, the will to actually get up on stage and be judged by everyone, especially the judges in the front, then you are a bodybuilding enthusiast, and it is simply a hobby for you. And so let me know in the comment section. And so although I appear to have lost the debate, do you agree? Do you agree with Coach Greg, or do you agree with ChatGPT? If you simply go to the gym and pick things up and put them down, and you go through bulks and cuts because perhaps it's summer or winter, and you eat more food, and you watch Mike Israel videos and perhaps Coach Greg, and you go to the gym and work out, are you in fact a bodybuilder? Now remember, Mike Israel is in fact a bodybuilder. He's had the balls to get up on stage. He had the courage. He dared to do it. And that takes a lot of courage. Despite the fact that you might think I have beef with Mike Israel, I respect him because he got up on stage. That takes a lot of courage. And he did get to the national level. But what about if you're just the guy that talks about bodybuilding, but you never actually get up on stage? Are you a bodybuilder? Many of you love Sam Sulek, and you're going to be all up on his side. Of course, Sam Sulek's a bodybuilder. How dare you question him? Well, I dare because I dare to make videos where I put myself up at the mercy of the audience. You watch the video, and you're going to critique me. And I know you are. But yet I still do it because I have the courage to be myself. Perhaps you don't. You're just going to mirror what everyone else is doing. Instead of being a lion, you'll all go out and be a sheep. It's easier to be a sheep. It's easier to be a sheep. You've got hundreds of others out there saying the exact same thing as you. You don't dare stand out to be different. And so you can criticize me all you like. You can put all the hateful comments in the comment section. Oh, yap, 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 Coach Greg, yapping again. But hey, you're watching me yap, and you're responding. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Of course, I can't wait to read.
So that's the end of that video. You know, at the end, I agree with Coach Greg, and the reason why I agree with Coach Greg, as I've already stated throughout this video, is I believe the term bodybuilder should be used as a title and not a self-explanatory statement. I respect people who have committed at least enough to improving their health, who have committed to building up themselves and going to the gym, lifting weights and stuff like that. I commend them for that, and I respect everything that they do. But that is only going to be, so high. I have to, because these people are doing extraordinary things, I have to honor these people, which is going to be a higher level of respect for their commitment to the sport. So if you are brave enough to get out on stage and actually, compete, I have to honor that, and I have to call you a bodybuilder. Now, earlier, I stated one of the reasons why you can't use one of the reasons why I don't think you should use bodybuilder as a self-explanatory term is because I stated how I myself have been training. Technically, I have been training for 20 years. I've been in and out of the gym. I have, obviously just kept on just gaining weight. But technically speaking, I was training. I was in high school. I was a swimmer. We had a gym. I lifted weights. So shouldn't I call myself a bodybuilder? And in that statement, I had showed how I don't think most people will look at me and call myself a bodybuilder. Now, here's the thing: there are people who may not have the aesthetics that we are accustomed to, but like I said, it comes to a level of commitment and bravery. Even Coach Greg says, "Are you brave enough to step out on stage?" So I just wanted to show you an example of somebody who might not have the aesthetics of the bodybuilder that you envision, because both you and me, when we think bodybuilder, we think Mr. Olympia. But let's look at somebody who is a little bit different, but they have dedicated themselves to fitness. They literally had, for a time, they had dedicated themselves to building muscle and stuff. So let's look at this other guy. And this is Obese the Beast.
Right here is what this whole series has been about. This right here. Good morning, guys. It is show day. Man, I'm so excited. So it's 6 a.m. right now. I had to wake up pretty early because we have to get our first meal in at the first thing in the morning. And then 8:10, first show. Okay, now. It's not a big deal. That's what I'm looking like now. I got a little bit of tan on my face too. But I need to get this meal in.
So as you can see, this guy has loose skin. He actually used to be obese like myself. He used to be, I think, a little bit bigger, and he dedicated himself to losing the weight. So he lost the weight. He lost the weight really, really fast, and he developed a little bit of loose skin. However, he at the time, he was very committed to lifting weights. He wanted to compete on stage, and this guy, and I commend him for having the character and courage to just step out on stage. And that's what he did. He let's see him in the competition. Can you imagine the level of courage that you have to be to step out on stage with other people who have been, building themselves up for a while? You can't really build up these level of physiques within a day. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen within a day. You have to put in a lot of time. This guy, he was losing weight. He was building muscle, kind of what I'm doing right now. But I think for him, he really focused on the weight loss, and then he focused on building muscle. And you can see the level of development that he's had over the years. The only thing that's making it kind of hard to even see how developed his muscle is just the loose skin. So again, it's like Coach Greg. It's like, do you have the commitment to step out on this stage? Do you have the courage to step out on this stage? And I think for most of us, even people who might have a great physique like Sam Sulek, I think most people just don't have that courage. Now, mind you, again, I have been lifting. Technically, I've been lifting weights for 20 years, right? Do I have the courage to step out on that stage, with shorts on or speedos, with my fat just kind of floating out? Nope. So again, that's why I think looking at the word bodybuilder and seeing it how most of society sees it, which is a title, I think it's very important that we continue to look at the term bodybuilder as a title, because we use that title to honor the extraordinary people who have committed themselves to the art and sport of bodybuilding to such an extreme degree that these people will, starve themselves. They will dehydrate themselves. They would get their spray tan and all that stuff. They'll practice posing. They will be so dedicated that they're able to build hundreds of pounds of muscle. And they'll do all of this over the course of a few years, is step out on stage to be judged by regular people like you and me. So that, again, that's why I think it's very important to look at it as a title and not a self-explanatory term. Again, I understand the definition as written out. I understand Chat GPT and all the little AI that draws their conclusion based off of the definitions that we regular people enter onto a website. I get it. I get it. I don't think Coach Greg lost the argument. Sam Sulek, I do not know his intentions when it comes to his workouts. Obviously, he works out with the intention to build weight, to build up his muscles. But I don't know if he is dedicated enough to step out on stage. I have not seen. I don't think he has competed yet, but he might compete in the future. Who knows? If he competes in the future, I think at that point in time we can call him a bodybuilder. I most certainly, you cannot call me a bodybuilder, even though I've been training. Technically speaking, I've been training longer than Sam Sulek. So you can't call me a bodybuilder. You can't look at this fat and call me a bodybuilder. I think that's just absurd. Yes, I lift weights. Yes, currently I'm training for hypertrophy, and I'll get into some changes that I'm going to do in another video. But I'm not a bodybuilder. I move weights. That's what I do. I move weights. This is a hobby. I'm using this hobby to improve my health, and that's it. And it doesn't have to be more. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not like Arnold. I'm not like any of the other Mr. Olympians. So I'm not going to call myself that. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think. You can, leave your thoughts in the comment area. Am I wrong? Am I right? Did I miss something up? You let me know. Other than that, I think this has been a very good video. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for being with me on another episode of Pre-Workout Chat. And remember, stay on the path.